Hello fellow YouTubers and WoW nerds. This blixen, I'm going to be making a guide on Holy Paladin and Mythic pluses. Now Holy Paladins are very good at spot healing, big single target heals, really getting it out there, but they're also really good at Mythic pluses because they put out the damage that's really needed that you're really trying to push Mythic pluses with. Because Mythic pluses are quite a bit about speed, and with the speed requires a certain damage. And if your healer can do as much damage as your DPS does, or even more than in some cases, then it's just going to make it that much faster. You're going to get better times, you're going to be able to go higher in your Mythic plus keys. So, I'll jump right into it. First we're going to go over not talents, we're going to do talents after. But first what we're going to go into is stats. Stat priority for Mythic pluses is different than Mythic rating, or rating in general. Mythic pluses, you're trying to optimize how much damage you can do while maintaining a good amount of healing. So as you can see on the screen, these are my stats currently for Mythic pluses. I'm 920 equipped, but that comes with, you know, an 845 Hero Titan Forge tier set piece. It was very good RNG on my part. Woohoo. So for stats, you really want to aim about 30%. 30 is like bare minimum you really want, because again, Holy Shock, if you've seen my other videos or know anything about a Holy Paladin, Holy Shock has a double critical strike chance. So whatever your critical strike chance is, it's going to double it when you use Holy Shock, but only when you use Holy Shock. So I have 30.88%. My Holy Shock's going to crit for about right at 62%. So I'm still going to get effective healing, and with that comes a lot of damage too. For haste, you want about 20%. This is for global cooldowns, for more attacks, you know, swinging your weapon, hitting the target. It's gonna be able to pump out more damage that way. For versatility, mastery, you don't really want mastery in Mythic pluses. It doesn't provide much, because you're pretty much always going to be right next to the person anyways. So you're always going to be doing as much effective healing as you can. Versatility beats mastery, but once you hit the critical strike chance of 30% and 20% haste, then you're going to want to go more into versatility over those two stats. As you can see, I'm at 13.63% versatility. I can go up to 15%, but this is the best balance of stats I could get with the gear I currently have. Versatility reduces damage, increases your healing done and damage done. We all know this. So that's the stats you're really aiming for in Mythic pluses. Again, versatility will change dependent on your gear, but crit and haste, you really want them at 30% for crit, 20% haste. You're going to see the most effect out of it that way. If you can go higher, go higher. Mastery again isn't that effective, so about 20% mastery bare minimum, but you should easily have that. For talents, you're going to want to run Crusader's Might. This is going to reduce the cooldown on Holy Shock by 1.5 seconds. That's why we run this. Again, we're pumping out as much damage as we can on bosses or trash or whatever, wherever we can. So this is going to become very, very important in our rotation. For Cavalier, the reason we run Cavalier is because most of the time Mythic pluses we're going as quickly as we can. This is a quality of life type thing, keep up with the rest of your group kind of deal. Because your DPS, your tank, they're going to be pulling quite a bit, and they're going to be going pretty fast. You've got to be able to keep up with them. But that's not the only one you can run. You can also run Unbreakable Spirit, reduces the cooldown of Divine Shield, Divine Protection, and Lay on Hands by 30%. So, your Divine Protection here, instead of being 1 minute, it'll be 42 seconds. This is a good damage reduction of 20% for 12 seconds, every 42. So about every 30 seconds you get a 20% damage reduction to all damage taken. So it can be used if you don't really need, 2 Divine Steeds. If your group's kind of slow, or y'all are being very careful not to be pulling extra stuff. Tier 45, kind of whatever you want to run. I like running Blinding Light because it's like an AoE interrupt. If you have 3 casters around you, blind them all and disorient them. It's an interrupt essentially. You can run Fist of Justice. It is very viable. I know a lot of people that do run it. I used to run it because Judgment reduces the cooldown every Hammer of Justice you use. So, it's not a bad talent. You have more capable stuns, more uptime on stuns. Perfectly fine to run it. Repentance if you need some CC, like in the first few pulls of Halls of Valor at a high keystone, about 12, 13-ish, when those first set of pulls before you actually get inside the dining hall. They're extremely tough. Repentance can reduce, the enemies you're going to be fighting on the spot. Your tank can pull the others away. Very good talent. Devotion Aura, you're gonna want to run this because Mythic Plus is also about taking as the least amount of damage as possible, so you can push faster. You can kill stuff faster. So allies within 10 yards take 20% reduced damage. Split over the number of allies in the aura. So Mythic Plus is most everybody's pretty close together anyways. Effectively, aside from your range, you're going to have at least 1 tank and at least 1 melee, and including yourself. So 20% is reduced. Divided by 3, it's about 7%, somewhere in that area. It's around that area. Don't quote me on the actual number. It's probably a little bit less than 7%. But if it's everybody, it's going to be 5% per person of damage taken. I move away from this. It's getting on my nerves. Okay. So, Warrior of Sacrifice not really used. You can if you're going. I don't even know why you would run it, honestly. I don't ever run it. Not in for a Mythic Plus. Or of Mercy, technically you can run it for a passive heal, so you don't have to heal as much as often. But that's more of a healer only for Mythic Pluses, which is also viable. You can run a healer only rather than trying to deal damage as well. You can run only healing. And this build that I'm for damage is called shockadin. Just throw that out there, because you're shocking the target a lot. Holy shock. That's why they call it shockadin. You're using holy shock a lot. But we do pump out a lot of damage very, very quickly. Divine Purpose, there's really no reason to run it in a Mythic Plus. You can in a raid. Mythic Pluses, you don't really want to take it. Holy Avenger increases haste by 30% and holy shock healing by 30%. So, for 20 seconds. So, it really helps when you're trying to kill the trash. It's only a 1.5 minute cooldown too. So when you're killing trash, killing the boss, pop that. You're going to get more haste, which again, you want about 20% haste. More haste equals more damage. So that's why we run this for shockadin. Holy Prism, you can run it. Throw it on the boss. It radiates a little healing to 5 allies within 15 yards, which in a Mythic Plus there's only 5 of you anyway, so it's going to radiate damage to, or healing to all of you. You can run it. I don't really run it. Again, I like shockadin because I'm trying to push as quickly as we can, get it done. Tier 90, don't run Fervent Martyr. It's terrible talent in all aspects, rating or Mythic pluses. We're not really using Light of the Martyr that much. Sanctified Wrath. Avenging Wrath lasts 25% longer and reduces Holy Shock's cooldown by 50% for its duration. So Avenging Wrath already lasts 20 seconds. With Holy Avenger, it's going to last 25 seconds. Which you can see here. I'll swap out of it, go to Judgment of Light real quick. Right there, it actually says increases healing done by 60% because of the belt. It increases healing by an additional 25% and increases damage by 10%. I'll go over legendaries and everything in a little bit. But anyways, increases healing done by 60% and your critical strike chance by 20%. Now without Chain of Thrain, your healing increases 35%, not 60% while Wings is up. So then we swap back to Sanctified Wrath. It's now 25%. So it's very, very useful. You want to use that. Beacon of Faith has no place. Not, in my opinion, rephrase that. In my opinion, Beacon of Faith has no place in a Mythic Plus. You don't need it. Not for real. So, because there's only one tank, that's the main person you're going to be beaconing anyways. It would do a massive amount of overhealing. There's no reason to run it. Beacon of Lightbringer, you can run that in a Mythic Plus. So you can put your beacon on your tank. You can stand back in melee range. Sorry, I misspoke. Stand back in ranged with, you know, your hunter or warlock or whatever. So you don't have to be right up in the action all the time. But us being Holy Paladins running shockadin build, we're going to be in melee because we're going to be doing the damage. Beacon of Virtue is going to give the most healing for when you need it. It's going to apply a beacon, and then on top of it, it's going to heal 3 injured allies around the beacon within 30 yards for 8 seconds. So therefore, every time you heal your beacon or use a heal on somebody, it's going to heal your beacon along with 3 other players. So you're effectively healing 4 people in a Mythic Plus. And there's only 5 of you, so you're pretty much healing your entire party with one spell. That's why I run this. It's 15-second cooldown, costs 22,000 mana. You can keep it on cooldown almost permanently. Almost. So for 8 seconds, you're effectively going to be using, if you keep it on cooldown, you're going to use it every 7 seconds. I like keeping it on cooldown when we're just doing trash because they're taking quite a bit of damage. So therefore, we're going to be healing for quite a bit. Bestow Faith. Sorry, I'm going to go back up to the first tier. I forgot about the first 2 talents. Bestow Faith you can run if you feel like your tank is going to take a lot of damage, and that would take away from your shockadin build. So again, that's why you don't run it with this setup, but you can run it in a Mythic Plus. It's perfectly fine. Light's Hammer, again, it'll take away from the shockadin build. You can run it. It's an AoE heal, and it'll heal 6 allies. So, and it deals a little bit of damage to enemies within the area, which is a 10-yard radius. So, you can run it. It takes away from shockadin build. That's why I don't run it. If you're running shockadin, you don't run this. You can. Just keep that in mind. Perfectly viable. Alright. So, that's that. That's that. Go over legendaries real quick. So for legendaries, for Mythic Pluses, Pride As is fine. It's tier 2 in a 4-tier ranking system. Pride As is tier 2 to tier 3. because of the stats it gives, because of the healing shield type thing. When it procs, it heals you, but it's going to do a lot of overhealing if you're staying pretty much full health most of the run anyways. That's why it's tier 2 to tier 3. You don't really need it as much. Topless Tower, I don't know anything about it. I think it's ranked around tier 4. Shoulders, don't really need it. I think Shoulders is ranked tier 4, is pretty bad. The Cloak is ranked tier 2. There's only one legendary ranked tier 1, but the Cloak is ranked tier 2. It is very good because you're always on the move. Light of Dawn doesn't have a cast time, so you don't have to stand still. Light of Dawn, then you can use Light of the Martyr, and you can pump out some really big kills with it. When I have the Cloak, I used to use it in raids and Mythic Pluses because I didn't have anything better. But I myself have hit 1.6 million crits with this, using this on average. When it did crit, it was about 1 million to 1.2 million without the Cloak. So it's pretty hefty increase to Light of the Martyr. Uther Guard, terrible. Don't run it. The hands can be used because you actually do use lay on hands every once in a while. It's not all the time, but it's always been and always will be that emergency big kill to get somebody healed all the way up as quickly as you can. So that's why we run it. It can be viable. It's like tier 3, tier 4, somewhere in that area. Chain of Thrain is our one and only tier 1 for shockadin, because it increases the healing done by an additional 25% and increases damage done by 10%. The shockadin is all about the damage. We need that extra damage, so that's why we need that. It increases damage by 10%. That's more damage that we use during wings, so that's why we run this. And the stats aren't that bad. Gives you the haste that you need, gives you more crit. We need all that good stuff. Crafted legendary, don't need to say anything about that. It's terrible. Boots are tier 3 to tier 4, not that great. Sevi's Secret is tier 2 because in a Mythic Plus you can really kind of use that equip effect. So you can effectively almost always keep the buff that tier 2 that the equip effect gives. That's why it's tier 2. It can be swapped out for something else that's better, but it's fine. Run it. I ran it. I've tested it. It's quite good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's very good. Run it if you have it, if you want to. It gives really good stats, our crit and our haste. Crown Jewel of the Silver Moon is about tier 2.5 to tier 3. You don't really need it because we're not really required to have that much increased healing. There shouldn't be a point where your tank is taking so much damage that you need that extra 15%. But if you need to, if your tank is taking that much damage, you can swap into it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Soul of the High Lord, the new legendary ring. I don't know where it ranks. I think, if I remember, it's tier 3 to tier 4. Because it does give divine purpose, so it does have that RNG base. Nothing wrong with that, but we don't really need it at the same time. Again, so there's that. Sorry. Melon's Future Sight is ranked tier 2 because of the stats it gives, because it's a short cooldown of 1 minute 15 seconds. it's good for that. When you need that extra healing, it is there for 15%. Pop it, you're good. Any extra healing that you do over healing, 50% of it goes to someone who can use it with no repercussions on your mana. That's why you can run it. It's good. And I just looked up the tier rankings. So, Chain of Thrain, the Waste, is tier 1. Valen's Future Sight, Sevi's Secret is tier 2. The other one that I hadn't gone over yet is Kil'jaeden's Burning Wish. It's tier 2 because of all the stats it gives, but it also gives that increase of the damage on use every 1 minute 15 seconds again. That's why you can run it if you want that extra damage. It's perfectly, it's perfectly fine. There's no problem with that. I would actually say run it. I don't have it, but again, it's the damage. Shockadin is about damage. We want damage as much as we can do when we can. When we're not constantly having to heal, we're damaging. That's the whole point of running Shockadin. So, again, Valen's, Sevi's Secret, and Kil'jaeden's Burning Wish all tier 2. Prydas, the Hands, and the Cloak are tier 3 now. I think the Cloak actually changed with 7.25. The Cloak used to be tier 1 to tier 2 in that area, but things have changed, obviously. Like I said, the Hands can be used because it's 70% reduced cooldown on your lay of hands. You can run it perfectly fine, not a big deal. The Wrists, the New Ring, Soul of the High Lord, and Topless Tower, the new Legendary Helm, those are all tier 4. And then there's actually a tier 5. Your Crown Jewel of the Silver Moon is tier 5, Agrimar's Stride, which are the legendary boots, and Obsidian Stone Shoulders, which are the shoulders. They are all tier 5 because there's really no use for them. Like I said, the Crown Jewel of the Silver Moon, you don't really need that healing that much. You don't need that extra 15% that often. So that's why. So the way you do it is on a boss or trash that you're trying to kill whenever you want to use it. I use it as much as I can. You pop your wings. Avenging Wrath is known as wings. It's 2-minute cooldown. That's what's giving you your extra damage. That's what's gonna be reducing the cooldown of your Holy Shock by 50%. So you're gonna be Holy Shocking a lot. That combined with Crusader's Might reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn by 1.5 seconds. So, Holy Shock has a 7 point, for me, with 20% haste, 7.4 second cooldown. Reduce that in half, it's about 3.2. Reduce that in half, effectively, because of Crusader's Might. When you use Crusader Strike, it reduces it by 1.5 seconds. So you're looking at a 1.5 second cooldown on Holy Shock, and that's your GCD. Effectively your GCD, which my GCD is 1.23 seconds. So I use Crusader Strike with wings up. After I use Holy Shock, it's already right back up. Boom, boom, boom. So the best way to do it, the way I do it, you pop your wings, Judge, Holy Shock, critical, or Crusader Strike. Holy Shock, Crusader Strike. Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, over and over and over and over. And you also need to wings and use Holy Avenger. Again, this is going to give you the most bang for your buck. You're going to do the most damage possible. If you're using Lust on a boss or Lust on a big trash pool, if you have Lust, it's all going to be combined together before you start your rotation of Judge, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike. that's going to be your rotation. So you pop your wings, pop Holy Avenger. Somebody has Lust if they use Lust, if y'all need it to be used there. Lust combined with it, then you go into your rotation. You're going to be pumping out a whole lot of damage very quickly. Generally, with my burst, when I do this, even without Lust, I'm around 1 million DPS, and I will demonstrate that in a minute just to show you how this is done. So, this is my UI, it's just a weak aura. So, what I like to do, okay, throw this out there now, for a boss only, I will actually use this macro I have. It pops all my cooldowns with one button. So it pops Aura Mastery, which Devotion Aura. While Aura Mastery is active, all effective allies gain the full damage reduction. So all your allies within 40 yards take 20% reduced damage while Aura Mastery is up, and Aura Mastery lasts for 8 seconds. So for those 8 seconds, you don't really have to worry about healing. Pop Tears Deliverance is in on this, so with this macro. So use Tears Deliverance with the damage reduction, the damage the boss is putting out to your tank and or your allies. Tears Deliverance should be able to cover that without much problem. That's why I use it, so I can do more damage while I'm passively healing everybody and they're taking reduced damage. That's why I do it only on bosses. Then it also pops Avenging Wrath and Holy Avenger. And also, in my macro, it uses Velen's Future Sight for the extra healing to Tears Deliverance. So I'm doing quite a bit of extra healing, so they're taking less and less damage. And the damage they do take, it's going to be healed back up. I also have Deceiver's Grand Design. I'll just put that on the tank as a passive heal, so hopefully that covers most of the healing, or quite a bit of it, through the Mythic Plus. It can, excuse me, you can also save your tank's life. So the way you do this is I pop my macro for a boss. Pop the macro, which will be right there. I'll do it in just a second. Then you'll see me judge, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike. Now at some point your judgment's going to come off of the target. You're going to have to reapply that. Then you go right back into your regular rotation. This is very effective. It is a massive amount of damage. And I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate it. So macro, judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, judgment, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Crusader Strike. You kind of get the point. And if you look down at my details, I'm currently at, no, it's dropping now, but I was just over 1 million at the start. And now your burst is done, but you keep doing it, the damage that you can. So this is pretty much always going to keep damage rolling. You're going to stay around 500k DPS, somewhere in there, 400k if you stop doing damage or for whatever reason. So that's pretty much how you run shockadin on a boss. Now for trash, you can use that same macro, and if you want the macro, let me know in the comments below and I will link the macro into the comments. For trash, just use wings, Holy Avenger, off cooldown. It'll help pump out the trash, it'll help kill trash faster. They're fairly short cooldowns, like, see mine's almost already back up. Holy Avenger's got 3 seconds, and Avenging Wrath has about 30 seconds. So you can use this quite a bit throughout your Mythic Plus run, for trash, for bosses, for whatever you need. You can use macro, but you don't really need to, unless it's a big trash pool and you need that extra healing on top of it. So it's there if you need it. but you can really just pop Avenging Wrath and Holy Avenger, and you'll get that damage increase. You'll be good. So, but that'll be it. I know it was a little bit long, but I wanted to get as accurate and detailed as I could with it. So, if you liked the video, like, subscribe, share. If you don't like the video, dislike it. Tell me why in the comments below. Maybe I can fix it or look something up for you, if for whatever reason. And thanks. See y'all in my next video. Bye bye.